I want to sincerely thank Tory Lanez.
Shout out to Tory Lanez, man, for helping a brother out that was unjustly sentenced to 3 life sentences.
My name is Ladaro Penix II, and I want to sincerely thank Unite the People, Tory Lanez, and the Hands of God Project for helping me receive a reversal in my case. I was sentenced to 4 life sentences plus 74 years at just 16 years old. Now I'm 47. I've spent my time behind bars, transforming not only my own life, but the lives of countless others through faith, education, and leadership. I became a published author, a peace advocate, and a mentor. Thanks to Tory Lanez's generous donations and Unite the People's swift action, I finally have hope and a real chance to come home. Thank you.
To me, I find this very incredible. I don't understand how the judicial system works, because people don't really go in for it. Like, it's not necessarily, I think, about the crime you commit, but it's about how smart you are with the law within that crime. Some individuals don't commit a crime that should be heavy, and yet they get heavy penalties, heavy consequences, while some others commit crazy crimes and get away with it. I mean, of course, we know there's individuals that do, get what they do, they do deserve type thing, right? But in this situation, clearly, it seems incredible. He was 16 and now he's 40 something, and thanks to Tory and, his whole project, right? That's how this, he was able to, I guess, fight it, because some individuals don't have the funds. That's one thing about, and I would always think that the law is not about how much bread you have. It should be more about if you really did it or not, or the reason you had to either, whatever it might be. And just thinking about this situation, I've always said the judicial system it needs work. Of course, we understand we're in a country where fortune favors fortune favors the rich, right? And it's incredible. Now, there's another brother that was not so, I don't think he's so fortunate right here. This is why I say crime doesn't pay, right? Crime does not pay. If you can avoid it, completely avoid crime. There's no need to take a chance. Mind you, some individuals do not have that luxury. They were either born into crime or they have to do what they have to do. And my whole thing with it is, I'll keep saying the streets is a myth. The whole not telling and all that good stuff, it's never really mattered. From where the street guys out here got their knowledge, which is the La Cosa Nostra thing, the mafia. We see a lot of mafia elites, or used to be mafia elites, now running podcasts, telling them how they told or how this and that, not trying to shame anybody. My whole idea is just to understand that this game that we playing, we all came in this world on our own, right? We, humans are social creatures. Yes, we get that. This is why individuals join different organizations. I'm talking about street stuff when things get tough. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we all stand on our own and we will depart on our own. So going in, I keep telling the youth, the young individuals, there's no, I know the music makes it seem like it's such a glorious thing to be this, and all that. When I go on live on TikTok, the kids on there, or the individuals there, always talking about, Lil Jack, this gang, this, that, and I'll just look at them and I say, I know it seems cool, but life is not even cool, right? Life is not a thing of cool and not cool. Depending on what kind of life you live or where you were born, generally life just, it's not necessarily, smooth as they tell you, right? And of course we understand kids or, younger individuals, biologically, their brains are not developed enough for them to weigh consequences and stuff, right? But I always still try to tell them, like, you just keep living, right? Keep living, and you see that life is not as smooth or clear cut as you're being taught. They teach them how they teach them so they understand the fundamentals. As I said, their brains are not as developed. But by the time you live life as an older individual or whatever, you get to realize 1 plus 1 doesn't always equal 2. Sometimes you get 3. You might get half. You might get 52. It's not necessarily as played out as we think. And looking at this individual right here, we see what he went in for, and now you see what he has become. Stay away from crime, kids. I wonder what he's going to be telling, what he tells his family, especially now it's trending. I know he has individuals, family members and all that around. What does he tell them when they come to visit? Like this brother was fortunate right here where, Tory came in and helped him. But you can imagine 3 life sentences. We don't, whatever the crime might be, 3 life sentences is insane. It is. That sounds so crazy. Sounds like, for whatever he did. I mean, if he murked somebody, we can understand that nobody gets to come back. But fortunately, by the grace of whatever being you believe in, he's been able to reverse his sentence. But it still cost him. He went in when he was 16. Now he's 40 something. That's a long time. Whether wrong or whether he was wrongly sentenced or not, it's a lot of time to lose. So that's why I always advocate for stay away from crime the best you can. Now, sometimes, as I said, if you have to do what you have to do, just understand the consequences of what you're doing, regardless. Even if you make a move like this current situation that's going on with the high schooler. The people are making racial now. The high schooler that stabbed somebody else. Well, not had to, realistically, he did it, right? Thinking, I don't know what he thought. Maybe the boy was bigger than him or whatnot. From what we see, tend to egg him on and all that. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. I don't see anything truly worth it. Let me not say that. Defending your family, defending yourself, but I really don't see anything outside of that really worth it. Some people say, when times are tough, I got to make that bread. I get that. Truly, I do. But as you do that, you should understand cause and effect, right? Whatever you're doing, expect, the consequences to follow, because we are in a society, right? A community where there are laws set, whether the laws are partial, impartial, whatever it might be, you still have to understand the gravity or understand the possibility of what could happen. Again, this is the land of empathy. So we're not only talking from, the criminal perspective, we're talking also from the justice perspective. So you have to understand these things. And I think weighing that, I always advocate, do not get into the streets, right? Yes, human beings are social creatures. We like to band together, but you should also have a mind of your own. Some people are followers, some people are leaders. The goal of my channel is even if you're a follower, you should have a leader's mindset, right? You should be able to make decisions that that will benefit you currently or in the long run to the best of your ability. And as I keep saying, the street is not a place where logic works. It's a place where ego works. And like everybody else that goes into the streets, that stays there long enough, manage to get older, whether they're incarcerated or not, they tell you it's not worth it. There's a very, very limited, amount of individuals that come out and say, or they are still in the streets and they're older and they tell you, keep doing it. Very limited. Very limited. Most people in the streets are usually young. And the older individuals tell you it's not worth it, And that's just my message right there. Looking at these 2 individuals, one was fortunate, the other was not. And the less fortunate individual, both of them, realistically, if we're being honest, they were not fortunate, right? But one in the long run, it worked out, while the other one in the long run, we see how that's played out. So, as I keep saying, land of empathy, the Roy Almighty, bro talk, right? Think twice. Think a lot before you make any action. If you're going to do anything that you think you have to do, understand the consequences that follow, right? Understanding that you can't, once that happens, you can't blame anybody but yourself, right? So I'd like to hear your thoughts about it. Maybe I'm one-sided in this. Maybe, Mind you, I've had, when I was younger, I participated, I did what I did, all that good stuff, right? But with time, with age, and with knowledge, I learned it's not worth it. Maybe someone watching me right now, going through similar things I went through, or maybe you never did. All the same, I would like to hear people's opinions on this. Maybe I'm wrong. I always say, it's my perspective. My perspective doesn't have to be your perspective. You don't have to agree with me, but as long as you can understand, that's what empathy is, understanding, right? So I'd like to hear your thoughts about this. You know what I mean? Let me know in the comment section. It's your boy Almighty. And I'm going to see y'all next time. Stay mighty, because we are all mighty. Peace and blessings.
Almighty push.
Do like you supposed to. Do like you supposed to. Do like you supposed to. I say do like to.
Doing what I wasn't supposed to be doing. They were bigger outside of what they did than what they did. I'm a great rapper, but you forgot about that right now, because I'm doing so many other things. So that's what I want to be known for, all of the great things that I do outside of it.